Hello and welcome back to the next video. And in this video I want to give you an introduction to R, or using R in Power BI. Now, this was requested, or a few students asked this in if I could implement R in Power BI Masterclass series. And here I just want to give you an introduction how to use R, because most of you would probably or have already seen there is an R visual which we can use, but this is not limited to the visual where we can use R within Power BI. And in this first video I want to show you actually how you can use R in the query editor, because if you go to edit queries, right, so click on it, then this Power Query editor appears with all of your different data sources, and you can see all the steps which have been applied. For instance, for the orders table, if you click in here, the steps which have been applied when you load the data source into Power BI. And these steps, they are not made by us or done by us, they are done automatically from Power BI. So it started by loading the source, then we did some navigation, so it basically here showed the table, so it expanded them, and then it promoted the headers. As you can see here, for instance, these are the column headers, and it simply promoted them. They're now in the first row, and then this ABC 1 to 3, currently it has no data type, the column, and then it changed the data type, and now you have your finished product. Okay, so all these steps were done automatically by Power BI. Now, of course, we have the option within this query editor, because it's an ETL tool, to do a lot of other steps, like for instance filtering our data, or we can split our data, split those columns by a certain delimiter. For instance, we can replace values, we can do pivoting as well as unpivoting, so a lot of different transformation options here, as well as adding new columns. These are all things which we covered in depth in the first Power BI Masterclass series, so it's not something I will cover here. But what I'm going to show you here is if you click on transform, you find the run R script here. So obviously R is not limited to the visuals, which we take a look at in later videos, but is also available here in the query editor. So, and that's a great thing, because let's face it, R and Python are basically data analysis tools, or also tools for data scientists, which are heavily used in shaping data, right? So this is something we could use here in our query editor to shape our data and the way we want it, if we have no options to do it directly here in Power BI. And in order to run this R script here, of course, there's one thing which you have to take into account, or you have to keep in mind, that you have to install R first, okay? R is not pre-installed with Power BI, so when you download Power BI, you only get Power BI, you have to install R as well. But of course, simply Google it, search for R or R statistics, and you'll find the program, and of course, it's completely free, so simply download it and install it, okay, if you want to use it. Now, the next thing is that depending on where you actually download and install it, you need to take into account that Power BI needs to recognize that R is installed in order to basically connect to R, or R to Power BI. So what you can do is, if you go to here, File, so in Germany it's Datei, sorry, but it's File, and you can go to Options and Settings, and here you can select Options. If you do this, just wait a second, there's the R scripting here, okay? And you can select it here, and then you see exactly where Power BI has detected R. So normally, if you install R in the default folder, which is proposed by the installation of R, then you should not have any errors, and actually Power BI should already recognize it, and you find it here. Otherwise, of course, you would have to navigate to the specific folder in order to really connect Power BI to R. Okay. There are additional features which you can set here, but for now the default ones are fine. So I can click OK, and Power BI and R are connected, and I can use R script now to shape my data. Okay, and yeah, that's it for the connection. And now, just to show you or give you a little showcase that this works, let's do a really simple transformation in R. So let's say we use R to simply show the first top 10 rows. Of course, this is something we could also, for instance, do here directly in Power BI to only get the 10 rows from our data set, but you can also use R, of course. And as I said before, it's simply an introduction to R. It's not in-depth data science here, but you can simply say you want to run an R script as a next step. So after changing the data type, you say run R script. That's my next step. And now within this within this pop-up, now you can write your R script code, okay? And one more thing here, you see the word dataset. Dataset basically here holds the input data for this script. So basically dataset reflects all the data until this data change. So this step here on basically all the table, the complete table you can see in the background, this is now the dataset in R, okay? So that's what you would use when you now want to transform your data. And now let's say I want to get the top 10. So you can simply say top 10, and then you specify it with this this little arrow here, and then you can use a function in R, which is simply the head function, and say from your dataset, you want the top 10 rows, okay? And you can close this function, and that's actually it. That's the whole R code in our case, and you can simply click OK. If you do this, then this window prompts up. Here the information is required about data privacy. In our case, I can click continue. So, and then you will ask. In our case, you can simply say, I want to ignore privacy levels for now. And I click save. And if you do this, you can see that now you got the name, top 10, as well as a table. And if you expand this table, click on these two arrows here, then you see you got all of the rows here. You want to keep all of these rows. Original columns names as prefix. Okay, that's fine for now. Simply just to make sure that this works, you can see now here we got the top 10, and we got exactly 10 entries here, right? So top 10, this is the name we gave it from the R dataset, so from the R script here, but now you get 10 entries. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on here until 10. Okay, and you get your complete data set here as well. Okay, so all the data is available, nothing is lost, except, I mean, considering the columns, of course, considering the rows, of course, we only keep the top 10 rows. But this is something we have done here. So running this R script, that's it. This is the output we get, and then I simply clicked on these two arrows to expand it, and that would be the next step within the M or the query editor in here. Okay, so that's how simple it is actually to run R script. I mean, simple in that case that you simply need to install R, connect it to Power BI, or if you installed it in a default folder which R proposes with the installation, then probably Power BI and R are already connected. And then you simply click within the transformation steps you do on this run R script, and then you write your code. And whenever you want to, of course, that would be normally the case. You want to refer to the dataset you have, then the table you're actually applying the R script to is called dataset. Okay, so whenever you want to do or transform your data, simply refer to dataset. Okay, or of course a slice of the dataset, like a specific column, if you want to do this. Okay, now I click cancel. That's it actually, and that's also all I wanted to show you for introduction of R. So this is one area where we can use R scripts, of course, in Power BI. And if you are really advanced in R and have a lot of well knowledge there, you can of course now use this to your advantage and yeah, get the most out of it. As always, thanks a lot for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you can use this maybe, or some of your colleagues who can help you with R, typing R script can use this in order to give you then the power to shape your data the way you need it. As always, thanks a lot for watching, and I hopefully see you in the next video. Until then, best guys.